Welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole. Shout out to everyone who is tuning in, soaking up yellow pill content. You are appreciated. In this video, we are going to talk about the popular and also very flawed Matrix inside a Matrix theory. So let's jump right into it. The Matrix has no escape theory, or the second Matrix outside the Matrix concept, was a film theory follow-up to patch up some of the holes that people found in the original Neo isn't the one argument. The main challenge apparently was Neo's powers outside of the Matrix, and rightfully so. Of course, I'll leave all the links in the description box, but a quick summary of their theory is that the Matrix trilogy has the same rules as the movie Inception, which was an exceptional film that I highly recommend to anyone who hasn't already seen it. Inception was released in 2010, and by the way, that's about 7 years after the Matrix trilogy ended. At one point in the movie Inception, you're watching a dream within a dream, inside yet another dream, only to find the final layer of raw, subconscious, what space? Dream space. So when you transfer those dream inside a dream Inception movie rules into the Matrix universe, one then assumes characters who jacked out of the Matrix and all the people in the last underground city of Zion, all the machines in the fields, and everything in the so-called real world were all still trapped inside an extra layer of the Matrix. In other words, any scene with a green tint took place inside the first level of the Matrix, and any shots with a blue tint exist on the second layer of the Matrix. Which, if this were true, would mean that the audience was only shown the real world in the Animatrix Renaissance episodes. The irony there being in those very same Animatrix episodes, the audience gets the full explanation of why the real world is the way it is. I mentioned here on this channel, early in the Smith is not the one video, that if this Matrix has no escape theory is true, that would mean Neo was in fact born inside the Matrix. But that would also mean Tank and everyone inside the city of Zion was also born inside this so-called second layer of the Matrix as well. The problem with saying the Matrix has no escape and that there is no real world in this context is that the very first point made in the Neo isn't the one argument was that Neo was born in the real world and not inside a Matrix. I shouldn't have to go in any further. Fundamental flaw error on high alert. How can someone say, I have confirmed Neo was born in the real world because I just figured out there is no real world? Seriously, let's recap the development of this narrative once more. Film theory says Neo isn't born inside the Matrix, but Agent Smith was. Therefore, Agent Smith must be the one. Then the internet pushes back, saying, no, wait, not so fast. Neo has powers outside the Matrix. Smith does not have powers outside the Matrix. Ergo, Agent Smith cannot be the one. To which the film theory responds to the internet with, Neo has powers outside the Matrix because Neo is still in the second layer of the Matrix. So, okay, stop right there. Wouldn't that then also mean Agent Smith should have powers because he too is still inside the second layer of the Matrix? But guess what? Agent Smith does not have superpowers outside of the Matrix. In fact, no one has powers outside the Matrix except for Neo. As you can see, the argument is a bit ridiculous and falls apart very quickly on its own. The question then becomes, if the logic is that weak, why do so many people accept the Matrix has no escape theory as an explanation? Well, the answer to that is because in order to make the case for a second Matrix layer, the argument uses any and everything that happens in the real world that isn't clearly defined in the films to say, hey, if there was a second Matrix layer, then all these random things that don't make any sense to you or any film sin you can find suddenly will make sense, even despite there being no evidence in the Matrix universe of said second Matrix layer. I don't want to clutter up this video defining each one of those talking points because most of those topics deserve their own explanation. Subjects like Neo's powers outside the Matrix, the battery problem, and Mobile Avenue. Each of those subjects will get more individual attention when we unpack them in future videos. But like I said in the introduction, part of the problem is that most Matrix videos try to explain over 8 hours of film, 3 video games, and 2 comic books worth of information into one quick video, and it just ends up creating more confusion. Let's deal with the reasons why the Matrix has no escape theory does not work by itself. Today, I'll simply focus on the issues that should not need to be brought up again, which include the machines destroying Zion and the Morpheus quote, "Is this real?" Let's start with the film theory asking why the machines keep destroying Zion if they know where it is. Well, if you listen to the architect, he tells you exactly why this happens.
Ergo, those that refuse the program, while a minority, if unchecked, would constitute an escalating probability of disaster.
This is about Zion.
You are here because Zion is about to be destroyed. Its every living inhabitant terminated, its entire existence eradicated. But rest assured, this will be the 6th time we have destroyed it, and we have become exceedingly efficient at it.
This is not a mystery, and it never was, because the architect explained everything to Neo and to all of us during his speech. The Oracle used the prophecy as a system of control to herd the 1% who resist the system over to Zion, so that they could be slaughtered quietly underground in the real world before they can grow strong enough to destroy the Matrix. The only reason why the agents wanted Morpheus to surrender the codes in the first Matrix film is so that the Sentinels can fly into Zion through the front gates, instead of having to waste all that energy digging holes in the earth to breach the Zion walls. Yes, the machines knew exactly where the city of Zion was located in the real world the entire time. The architect bragged about their efficiency, so it's no surprise to me that the machines were looking to improve their strategy with each new cycle. Let's move on to the Morpheus quote, "Is this real?" Yes, Morpheus, it is. The dream ended when Neo told Morpheus the prophecy was a lie at the end of The Matrix Reloaded. The Matrix Revolutions is about solutions. The film theory mentions that Morpheus's original ship's name was the Nebuchadnezzar, named after a king in the Bible who was haunted by bad dreams and nightmares, but failed to mention that the ship gets destroyed at the end of The Matrix Reloaded. Fast forward to the end of Revolutions, and the nightmare is over, Morpheus. The war is over. And the real reason why the war ended is confirmed by the architect and the Oracle in the scene that immediately follows Morpheus asking, "Is this real?" Morpheus had no idea what the plan was. Other than Neo was headed towards the Machine City, Neo never even told Morpheus how he found out the prophecy was a deception created by the Oracle in the first place, let alone how Neo would go about fixing it and end the war. Morpheus has every right to be confused. The war in Zion ended because Neo corrupted Agent Smith, then decided he was going to save Trinity instead of resetting the Matrix, which allowed the Oracle to be assimilated by Agent Smith so that Smith could create enough chaos inside the Matrix to give Neo the leverage to negotiate for peace from outside the Matrix. You see, if the city of Zion and the machine fields were just another virtual reality Matrix, then the machines could have simply let Smith destroy the first Matrix level. There's no escape, right? Saying the Matrix has no escape explains away the battery situation by eliminating people from the equation completely. If the people sleeping happily in the pods were also in a second Matrix layer, then Agent Smith could have done whatever he wanted. It would have no effect because all the crops of human batteries and power lines would also be virtual, powered and controlled by programs of that second Matrix level. Saying there is no escape to the Matrix becomes problematic when you consider that it completely ignores and removes the Agent Smith virus as a threat to the real Machine City. But we know Agent Smith became a real threat to the system because the Oracle gave him power inside the Matrix, and therefore the connection from the first Matrix that Smith had control over was powered by the Machine City in the real world. Had Smith decided to kill everyone inside the Matrix, the machines in the real world would have had a real immediate power failure problem. Neo helped the Machine City prevent that outcome, so the architect honored the arrangement of peace. If there was an Inception rule inside or outside the Matrix, the architect would certainly be the one to know about it. Even in the movie Inception, they take the time to show the audience the difference between the dreams and what is real. When you see actor Michael Caine, who plays Leonardo DiCaprio's father, in any scene, you know that scene is not a dream during Inception. He is one of the reality checks in the movie, just like the blue tint lets you know you are watching the real world in the Matrix trilogy. In the behind the scenes Matrix Revisited DVD extra, production designer Owen Patterson specifically explains the use of blue, defining the real world, while cinematographer Bill Pope describes all the scenes that take place inside the Matrix use the color green. The second Matrix theory and the Smith is the one argument combined are my least favorite conversations in the Matrix universe. And that's why I just wanted to go ahead and get those topics out of the way. Because now that it's done, anytime someone claims there is a second Matrix or that the Matrix works like Inception, you can go ahead and direct them to this video and stop that nonsense before it even starts. All the characters in the Matrix films and even the people who worked on the Matrix media talk about the Matrix and then the real world. The no escape theory is simply not supported by anyone in the films. If you think there is a talking point in the argument that needs explanation or that I didn't cover, you can go ahead and let me know in the comment section. And remember, as one realizes that one is a dream figure in another person's dream, that is self-awareness.